We start out the video today in Shellwood, dear viewer. What a lovely wood that is frankly overrated. I said lovely, but that was a mistake because really this entire biome is faded, washed out looking. The enemies are not very nice. A lot of them aren't even really that good looking. You got sticks all over the place. It's half taken over by bells. And really, this kind of stuff is not the pinnacle of what a good lush environment should look like in Farloom. We got Green Path back in Hollow Nest. Why do we have to have something as dark as this in this kingdom? Well, the truth is, we don't. There used to be a kingdom called Verdania, which was far, far more lush and beautiful. And that is why I have made it the goal of today's video to lock myself in Verdania. Now we will need to have the double jump to do so, and in addition to that and all of the movement abilities that lead to you getting Fade Down Cloak, we have a lot of other requirements to get this softlock to work, because normally you're not even supposed to be able to get into Verdania until Act 3. So one of the first things we need, if you want to do this softlock, you have to have any map, just because you need to be able to pull up the map using the LB button on controller, or whatever else it is for computer people. However, since we're going to be going into Greymore, I'll just buy that map from Chakra when I get there, since it does not seem to be available here. In addition to a map, buying the compass will be extremely useful, because we really are going to want to look at where we are on the map at all times for this softlock to work. I know I am being very vague right now, dear viewer. Trust me, it will all make sense in the future. Now let's get the rest of our preparations completed. Preparation number 1 being the acquisition of the Reaper Crest. Because yes, I cannot make a single video in my channel's lifespan in the past month and a half that does not rely on the Reaper Crest to give some crazy interaction. In this case, it's entirely based on the Reaper Crest Pogo. It really just frustrates me at this point. I'd love to tell you in my next video, guys, did you know the Shaman Crest can let you beat all of Silksong in 2 minutes? But no, if that ever happens, it's gonna be the Reaper Crest at this point. I just know it to be true. Anyway, at least the Reaper Crest is easy to get, and it's not like something like the Shaman Crest, so it's locked behind Act 3 access. But while we have the Reaper Crest here, we are going to need it to not only use its unique moveset, but also to activate bench storage. And don't worry if you've seen previous videos, this is not an old glitch with Reaper Crest and bench storage. There are somehow way more glitches with bench storage that I have never heard about before. And in case you didn't know, dear viewer, I learned about the glitch that makes this video possible by a guy named G-Pro. He made an incredible video going over the glitch that I am going to be utilizing today to get into Verdania early. And in case you haven't seen it before or seen his channel, I'd recommend you do so. But now that I'm here, I can buy the Greymore map from Chakra to give me actual vision over where I am in this location. Or rather, it would give me vision if I equipped Compass to the Reaper Crest, but I couldn't. Because, in case you didn't know, dear viewer, bench storage means you are not allowed to sit on the bench at all. So, I cannot equip this compass until I truly activate bench storage. While I'm at it, I might as well go over to the 2 rooms to the right of me, because those rooms to the right of me are the ones that lead to Verdania in Act 3. And that is where this entire skip, glitch, whatever you want to call it, will be pulled off successfully. But, now that I've visited those rooms, Hornet should be able to mark them down with her quill when she sits on a bench, but we don't want to sit on the bench fully. To activate bench storage, you want to sit partially on a bench and then save and quit before you fully get sat down. Basically, as long as the game doesn't save you sitting on a bench, you can activate bench storage, especially because we are going to wake up at the Reaper Crest, which is not a benched location. And by saving quitting at the time we did, we have now tricked the game into thinking that we are still sitting at a bench, so we can do things like change our crest while we are not on a bench. And for the purposes of this video, other than to equip the compass, of course, crucial step to this plan, and not manage to note down the completion of the map. Sorry, I thought it would actually write it down using bench storage. I guess it doesn't. Lesson learned. For the purpose of this video, the only thing we need to get into Verdania is the ability to switch crests while we are walking around the world. Now that we have that ability, I'm going to show off where we're trying to reach. If any of you have not been to Verdania or even know what Verdania is, it is an old kingdom left behind in Fardum, behind this wall right here. It is normally completely blocked off until Act 3 destroys this rubble. And as things stand in the game, there is not one singular way to destroy that rubble and get in there until Act 3. So we're going to have to bypass it. And we will do so by reaching one of the exits to this room. Not the one at the bottom left corner of this room, but one at the top left corner, or at least higher and to the left than we are right now. Once we have gotten to this point, we are going to try and get out of bounds. So the idea is, now that we are up at this point on the map, which is why we want the compass, we want to go left but not transition to the room to our left. We want to go left, go above the remainder of this room, which I am showing you here, and make it to the right side of the room. Once we are at the right side of the room, we are going to bypass the rubble to Verdania and get in, because the loading zone to that area exists, regardless of the rubble existing there. So if we can get out of bounds, we can get to Verdania in Act 2. So not only is this a Softlock video, it is an Act 2 Verdania video, which I'm sure everyone assumed once they saw this title. But before I set this up, let me kill this craw. He's kind of just getting in the way of my idea. That was the most immaculately placed pin I've ever seen. What is that? I love recording sometimes when you can just get nonsense like this to happen. But anyway, the way we are getting out of bounds is based on G-Pro's video. It's based on bench storage and the ability to store your attacks. If you are able to switch a crest mid-attack, you'll notice your attack will stop. But once you go back to the crest that you attacked with, the attack will continue. And that's great for us in terms of setting up a lot of glitches, but it's not so great when we're doing it with the Hunter's Crest. The Hunter's Crest is pretty limited. The Reaper's Crest, on the other hand, has some of the largest attack hitboxes in the game, and you can use these hitboxes to hit collision, like this edge of the platform right here. So, if we store the Reaper Crest Pogo, and we go to this area right here, coincidentally where the pin is, go back, you see we get pushed back a bit once we reactivate the attack. What would happen, dear viewer, if we could pause the game while the momentum is pushing us backwards? In other words, what would happen if we could get the momentum to push us backwards, but have the game never stop us from moving in that direction? Well, that is how we use this glitch here. First, we store the pogo of the Reaper's Crest, and then we need the map. We open up the menu instantly after pressing the button to pull up the map. Once the menu is open, you want to press the button to pull up the map again, and by doing so, you've now activated the ability to pause the game with your inventory open. And as I'm sure you can guess, that causes a lot of problems in terms of how Team Cherry expects this game to go. While having this pause ability available, switch back to your Reaper Crest, close the menu, and then instantly pause. Now, I've done the glitch entirely correctly because you could see Hornet moving. The problem was, I was not in the location right here, which is where you would get pushed back. So basically, I'm going to do the glitch again. You want to store the pogo on the Reaper Crest. Hold open your map and click the menu immediately after. Essentially, you want to see Hornet pull out the map, but before the map shows up, you want the menu to open. Now that we've pressed the map button again, we can go back to the Reaper Crest, and then we close and pause instantaneously. And with that slide, because the game was paused, the loading zone to the next room was not active. Therefore, we have pushed ourselves out of bounds. Again, this is all content that G-Pro covered very well in his video if you want to see it in more detail. But for our purposes, it means we are out and we should supposedly be able to get to the other side of the room. The problem is, Team Cherry is smart enough to add some hitboxes to the out of bounds of their room. You can see I'm still hitting ceilings, but none of the rooms are infinitely large. Once we get to the left side of this screen, there is nothing left. And that is why you need the double jump. Because we need to jump out of the bounds of reality and make it to the other side, above where the loading zone is supposed to be. By doing so, you'll find how much solid wall there is for us to climb up, and now we're just far and away from where the game expects us to be at all. And that can be a problem when we're trying to navigate to the opposite side of this room. So that's one reason to have the compass. You can pause at any time and check your location, but otherwise you just want to be careful. The whole path to Verdania is up, right, down. But the problem is, you don't want to go too far in any of those directions. If you go too far right, once you reach the end of the room, you'll just fall into the void. You'll start to gain vision again when you get close to the room. This is the top of the room, so you want to try and avoid the loading zone to the next area. You can do that by jumping over it. You can either use claw line or you can dash over it. It is pretty hard to hit the loading zone when you're out of bounds. I don't even know if it's really possible without getting back inbounds. But this is the second hard part. We are very blind at this point. All we have are the sparks we can make on the wall and your own sense for game sound and camera movement, which doesn't help all too much. The idea is you want to stay as close to the wall as possible when you're at this right side of the room. You want to stay on the left, and you want to check the map frequently to see if you're getting close to the exit to Verdania from this room. The problem is, even while saying that, I had some troubles. You see, I accidentally went underneath the loading zone just because when you're blind, it's not easy to maneuver. I have a great appreciation for all the blind viewers in my audience. Yes, that was a joke. I'm very sorry for saying it like that. But yeah, at this point, know that if you are in the water here, while it may seem like a tricky situation, you are pretty much in the home clear. It is not easy to get out of bounds to a point that's unrecoverable here. As long as you keep jumping, maneuvering around, and trying to get up to that platform there, you will likely hit the loading zone to Verdania eventually. That's pretty much all the advice I have to give you, because I don't even know how I got this to work, okay? Hornet's confused, I'm confused, we're all confused. But the point is, we're here. This is the room past that rubble that's normally impassable. And in case you were wondering, my wonderful viewers, you can see in the map we are in the area of Verdania, but did Team Cherry expect you to be able to get here before Act 3? I think I've got a pretty clear answer for you. No, because I have not freed the Green Prince, nor met him once in this playthrough. You could probably get here even before killing the Cogwork, before doing anything in the Citadel. The way was open, sir. Hornet, I think you are lying. Hornet just loves lying, doesn't she? So yes, you could get into Verdania proper if you had access to the LG of the Deep at this point. But on one hand, while bench storage is active, it is impossible to play the needle in. And on the other hand, I have no idea how you could ever get LG of the Deep without going to Act 3. That's a glitch that even I have not figured out yet. I would love to hear it if someone else does, though. It would be a revolutionary unlock. But we don't care about the Green Prince. We're not here for him. We're here for Verdania. And look at this lush green environment that I promised you at the start of this video. This is so much better than Shellwood in every way, shape, and form. It even has farlids, which Hornet can really appreciate because they're basically weavers, just like her. And most confounding of all, Team Cherry added a bench to this room. This is probably the most unnecessary bench in the game, because as you'll see with Verdania's map, it is like a single hallway. That is it. When you're not going into the Green Prince's memory, it is a single hallway, and we've deactivated bench storage. But I thank Team Cherry every day for the inclusion of this bench in Verdania, because this bench lets us make a save point in here. And in case you didn't know, dear viewer, save points like this are hard, which means they are going to make you spawn in at them whenever you reload the game. So, if I want to try and leave Verdania, I can't save and quit and reload back at the Reaper Crest anymore. I'm just gonna have to walk out and get out of this room. But hey, because I deactivated bench storage, I can play a song for them. The Green Prince has a phenomenal singing voice. Top notch to whoever did their voice, by the way. I will disturb you no longer, except for all of the disturbing that I will do. But yeah, I think at this point, we got here earlier than we were supposed to, and now we want to go back and explore the rest of Fardom. Except we can't. You see, even though we see the room is loaded in its Act 3 state, that doesn't mean the rest of the world is. In fact, that is the only thing that is loaded in that state in Fardom at this point. We have no ability to walk out of this room, no matter what abilities we could use, just like we had no ability to get into that room until we used bench storage. And since we've deactivated bench storage, we can't use our little sliding trick to escape. But what if we just save and quit? Surely Team Cherry wouldn't let us get locked in a box of 2 rooms for the rest of eternity. But as you could see by the Verdania title on our save file, they allow us to do just that. And while Hornet plays a dirge for herself, we have now left ourselves entirely trapped in Verdania. And not even the cool memory Verdania of the Green Prince. No, modern Verdania, which has nothing green, spikes, farlids, and not much else. Hey, I don't think Shellwood has spikes from memory, so that's cool, right? And I know Shellwood doesn't have farlids. These are some of Hornet's best friends, you know? They're the progenitors of all of her ancestors. Her mom was probably a farlid at some point, if that's how that works. So yeah, we can now experience the lush beauty of Verdania for the rest of time in this save file. This save file cannot escape this room, save restarting or going back to a previous save. So, at this point, I think Hornet is accepting spending her life with the Green Prince, mourning the death of his lover, and farlids. Let's give them a hug, Hornet. Have a good day, everyone.